Shalom. Give me one if you guys can hear me. Great to see you all here. Those of you watching on Patreon, welcome. Glad to have you here. And those of you watching from YouTube, also welcome. This is a public video today. Shalom, Brenda, Betty, Betty K, Gary. Who else is here? We almost have a minion. Come on in. The water's fine. Glad to have you all here with me today. So exciting. We are beginning a new chapter. Only about 10 chapters left to go, I think, right? We are 75% of the way through the book of Exodus. Can you believe it? Not a small book. Those of you who've been with me for a while, that means you've read in Hebrew with me and understood 75% of this book of the Torah. Amazing. Shalom, Jeff. Okay, thanks for the one, Betty. Jeff's got it working on YouTube. All right, great. Yeah, it's easier on these public nights when it's like this. By the way, we discovered something interesting. Well, rather, Brenda discovered something interesting, thanks to admin Brenda. Turns out on Patreon, when I post a video, like I release it for a certain time to go live, not to go live, but just to go up there, even if we don't have a scheduled chat, the way that the comment feature works over there, it's like a chat. So you guys can chat about it. Just see who's there. Say hi. Hey, anybody here? Even if there's not a scheduled premiere or drop or live or something like that. So I think this is going to work to our advantage. Just to be good to know. Less technical feats to jump through. All right. Avinu malkeinu ken ratzon ki anachnu chalim lilmod tov balayla hazot. Oh, vayom hazeh. תעזרנה אותנו אבא, תמיד ללמוד טוב, כי אנחנו רוצים לראות את פניך. All right, let's get started. Here we are. Beautiful. Exodus chapter 31, verse 1 and verse 2 is on the screen here. And maybe oh yeah, I don't have to write the chapter because we have it over here on the right. You can see it. So maybe let's go ahead and you hear me okay, right? Audio's okay? Oh yeah, I got the one. Hey, Shalom Pei. Great. Glad to have you here, Achoti. All right, so here it is, verse 1. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Well, that's an easy one. You, I bet most of you are used to this one already. Shalom Harrison, welcome. Yeah, I bet most of you are used to this guy already. Vaydaber, then he spoke. Subject, Yod Hey, Waw Hey. El unto Moshe. Lemor, literally to say, but that sounds weird in English, so we traditionally translate that as saying. Thanks, Gary. Gary says the sound is great. Yeah, we've got our sound problems worked out. Baruch Hashem. Resolved. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So, verse 2. That's it. We're done with verse 1. That was fast. Verse 2. Re'eh karati ve'shem Betzalel ben Uri ben Hur Lamate Yehuda. Shalom Thea. All right, we have 11 now. So we have our minion, Baruch Hashem. So this very first word, re'eh, this guy is an imperative, as I have it marked. So you might see or hear some vowels there that you're not so familiar with. It's Resh Aleph Hey if you're just listening, which means see. Literally, he said. That's the lexical form of the verb, how you'll find it in a dictionary. But here it's not ra'ah, he saw, but re'eh, re'eh. It's a command form speaking to a man. Re'eh, look, or see. Sometimes this verb has the idea of know, just like in English. Do you see now? Only now do you finally see the power of the dark side? So see, to understand, right? Do you know? Re'eh, command, see. Karati. The verb is kuf resh aleph, kara, to call. And the T means I. Karati. I called, or I have called, the shame in or by name. I have called by name. Again, re'eh, see, karati. I have karad, I've called. Ve, by shame, by name, Betzalel, ben Uri, ven Chur. I like to do that. I like to do that too sometimes. Uh, use the grandfather's name as well. So my full synagogue name is Yirmiyahu. I know I usually just say Yirmiyah. It's short and easy for people. Yirmiyahu ben Avrom ben Yankel. Right? So you like to get all three names in there. Dun, dun, dun. So here we have this guy. He is narrowed out down. Hashem has narrowed down. There's no confusing who this guy is. Betzalel, that's his name. His name is kind of nice. Can you figure out what his name means? Betzalel? It's a little confusing because the vowel under the tzal, but be, I'll go ahead and colorize it just to make it clearer for the visual learners. You're okay if you're auditory, you can just keep listening. Be, that's our bait. Right? Which could mean in, or by. And then the next word we have is tzel, although it's written sal. Who knows what this word means? Right. I got to put my glasses on. I took them off because I'm nearsighted when I was drawing. Let's see. Did anybody answer? So I'll give you a hint. In one of the Psalms, it says, Gam ki eilech, even though I walk, be tzel, or be ta tzel, although it became betzal mavet. In the, literally, it means in the shadow of mavet, of death. Even though I walk in the shadow of death, lo imadi, I will not fear evil, for you are with me. Although some scholars have pointed out that mavet, just like ale at the end of a word, can exist as a superlative. So it could actually mean the darkest shadow. Sal mavet. Like the shadow of darkness could actually be a poetic way of saying the darkest shadow. But of course, word choice matters, right? So using death in the word, it's a double entendre there. Yeah. Hey, Shalom Kenneth. Glad you made it. Yeah, Gary says Gary, son of Cleve, son of Louis, son of Otis, son of Loki, son of Reuben. Oh yeah, wow, going way back. I like that. I like that. Very nice. Usually the furthest it'll ever go in a synagogue is three, but okay. Good. Very nice. So it's shadow. So in the shadow of, then we have ale. Pretty sure everybody knows ale. Oh, wait, go back. Sorry. You know ale, right? God. So his name is Betzalel. Tzal is the construct form of tzel, in the shadow of ale, in God's shadow. Nice name, especially for what his task ended up being. So, re'eh, see, karati, I have called Veshem by name. I singled him out by name. Betzalel, this guy Betzalel is his name, meaning by shadow of God or in the shadow of God. Ben or Ben Uri, son of Uri. Uri, my light, Ven Hur. Ven Hur, I think you guys have all heard this name before. Isn't there a great movie, Ben Hur? That's this one. Ben Hur. Le mate, lamed belonging to the mate or belonging to da mate. Why don't we mark that construct chain there to make sure it's clear for everyone? Yehuda. And because the last word is Yehuda, that is definite. So we will make the entire chain definite, which means we get to transfer the. No, go back. The. So le, belonging to da, Mate Yehuda. That's the Mate, the tribe of Judah. That word mate can also mean staff, by the way. Well, Gary says, I have a Ben Hur brand chest freezer that his parents bought 65 years ago. That's cool. Very, very cool. All right, any comments or questions before we move on? I'm just going to have a drink. Nothing special tonight, Brenda. Just cold water with a little bit of lemon concentrate in it. So nice. My new microphone, AKG microphone, mute works well. Thanks to the anonymous giver who gave the Amazon gift certificate to get that. Really appreciate it. All right. Continuing on. Verse 3. Boom. Verse 3 says, V'amalei ruach Elohim b'chokhmah u'v'tvuna u'v'da'at u'v'chol melacha. All right. So the first word, let's make that a bit bigger for those of you with smaller screens. The verb is o male, mem lamed aleph. Male means to be full, but this is the PL. It's kind of hard to hear if you're just listening, but if you're looking, you can see I have a glowing dagesh in the lamed showing there's two lameds. So it's actually male. So male is to fill up. To fill up. This is the same word that the Messiah uses in the book of Matthew when he says, I didn't come to tear down the Torah, but to pleroo, to fill it up, to mile. Quite a bit different than translating as fulfill, isn't it? That's a choice. That's a translator word view choice to choose fulfill. Fulfill is one of the less common meanings of the Greek word pleroo. More common, entry number 1 and number 2 in the BDAG list are include to fill up and other synonymous meanings. You got to go down the list a little bit to get to fulfill, right? And I think it's a little bit off to translate fulfill. Fill up at least captures the essence of the Hebrew there, to mile, to fill it up, right? We had the Torah, and now we have the proper interpretation of the Torah. He he gives us a full hedging of the Torah. He makes it more difficult, right? Instead of just before, you couldn't sleep with another man's wife. Now you can't even look at her. He's building a nice hedge, isn't he? A nice rabbinical hedge, just like the other rabbis did. What a good rabbi Yeshua was. I love how he hedges things, just like in the Talmud. Very nice, very nice. Or, like we're told, you've heard in times past, lo tirtzach, don't murder. First one's lo tinaf, don't commit adultery, don't murder. And what's he say? He gives us a nice rabbinical hedge using the practice of the rabbis. He says, don't even harbor anger in your mind against your brother. Don't even harbor anger in your mind. I know it says heart, but Hebrew heart means mind. Don't walk around fuming with anger because then you've murdered him already in your own imagination. So, what a hedge that is. Wow. Being angry is now murder. You can't hedge much more than that. So I had to bring that up for you naysayers out there who don't like the rabbis and don't like hedging. You better think again because nobody hedges as much as the Messiah. Wow, he's such a hedger, and it's such wisdom to protect us from ourselves. All right, let's continue on. So, malay means I will fill up, or I filled up. I mean, I will fill up, or I am filling up. But we have the vav conversive, glowing neon. If you're looking with your eyes instead of just listening, va malay means, and I have filled up. Ot ham. Now we have a construct chain. Da ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God. Now you might say, why is it the Spirit of God and not a Spirit of God? It could be a Spirit of God. It could be, especially if you've read Revelation and you learn about the seven spirits. Where do we have the heptapnoimaton? No, heptapnoimaton. Yeah, ton. Anopion to thronu. Sorry, shame on me. The seven spirits before the throne, right? And then there's another place where it says the seven spirits, Theu of God, right? So it could be a spirit. The reason I'm translating the spirit, other than being tradition, it gets translated that way in the Greek, is the word Elohim, when we're talking about the one true God, it's kind of definite, isn't it? Like, even though we don't say Ha Elohim, and Hebrew does say Ha Elohim a lot, still, when we're talking about the one true God, it's definite. There's no other true God, right? So I think you have liberty to translate the Spirit of God, but you could also say, you could make an argument. Well, they could have written Ha here if they wanted to. So it's totally feasible to translate a Spirit of God. That's, in fact, it's a little truer to how the Hebrew feels. So that's up to you guys. I'll leave it up to you to say the Spirit of God or a Spirit of God, just kind of depending on how set you are in your ways of thinking about how God exists. We know from Revelation there are seven spirits of God. So whatever that means, I know it could be a metaphor, right, about wisdom and all this kind of stuff. But that's there. That's there for you anyway. Okay. Well, you were watching on Patreon before, right, Tet? No problems. It was working on Patreon. Diba? Sorry, Diba in Tagalog, not Diba in Hebrew. In Hebrew, Diba means an evil report, like a bad report, like what Yosef HaTzadik brought back about his brothers. That was a Diba. Although sometimes the text is redundant and it'll say Diba, right? Like a bad, evil report. But in Tagalog, Diba means like auf Deutsch, stimmt? Harrison, stimmt? Diba? Isn't that right? Oh, okay, you're at the prayer meeting. Okay, Tet, that's great. Okay, Ruach Elohim, Spirit of God. Okay, you guys hear me all right? Diba, diba, diba. Be chokhmah, with wisdom. U and vitvuna, and with tevuna. What's tevuna? Tevuna is from the root beam, to understand. Beit yod nun, to understand. So and with understanding. U the da'at, and with da'at. Da'at is from the verb yada, to know. So da'at is understanding. So we have chokhmah, wisdom, tevona. By the way, wisdom doesn't map exactly to the way that wisdom maps in English, right? Like Sophia from the Greek or whatever. It's not exactly the same. It has dimensions of that, but in Hebrew, the word chokhmah can mean skill also, right? So, for example, someone who has chokhmat milchama, he's a good soldier, right? Like wisdom of warfare, right? Wisdom of war. Or chokhmat keshet, wisdom of a bow. He's a good archer, right? You understand? So, and it really is no problem if you boil down chokhmah to the basic meaning. The basic meaning, Shalom Tet, the basic meaning is the ability to make the right decision in a given circumstance, right? So if you were wise with a bow, that means you know how to shoot it properly, right? Because you can make the right decision in how far, like when to knock the arrow, how far to pull it back, uh, which eye to use, how to judge the wind, right? It's you're making the right decisions all along. So if we boil it down to the essence, then you won't ever get confused on how to translate it, right? It's not just wisdom in English. It can be skill because it's the ability to make the right decision. Just like true wisdom in the English understanding is also the ability to make the right decision, if you think about it, right? That's why a lot of times older people are wiser than younger people because they recognize the patterns of what's happening. Maybe not the specific situation, but the patterns coming in. Okay, yeah, I've seen this before. I know how this plays out. So you can make the right decision. Get out of the stock market now, or whatever, whatever the case is. Yeah, Harrison says he got skills. Exactly. And Gary also skills. All right. Yeah, yeah, skill. Exactly. Hope I didn't miss any questions. Okay, good. I didn't get, was it working live on Patreon okay, Tet? All right, and continue along. So we have b'chokhmah, pardon me, uvitvuna, uveda'at, uvechol melacha, and with every kind of melacha. Now, melacha, you might have learned, means work, right? Like in the fourth commandment, you shouldn't do any kind of malacha, right, on Yom HaShabbat, no kind of work, right? But as is ever the case with Hebrew, many words have many nuances, and one of the meanings of malacha and also malachet. Malacha is project, right? Like a design project, right? A project you have to think through, right? Not just like go get kindling for the fire, Cub Scout, and we're gonna make some fire, right? Not like that, but like, okay, time to design the 10,000 pound arch that we're gonna build, right? Okay, that's malacha. So malacha oftentimes is like white collar labor, right? Involving design and management, that kind of thing. Unless there's no other word for labor around, then it means work in general. But in this case, because of the presence of chokhmah, tivuna, da'at, then it's clearly project. Uvechol, and any kind of melacha project. Although you could actually maybe say work, right? With the like artistic work being understood. Okay, how you guys doing? Any comments or questions? You're here with me live. Live. Those of you who are actually here with live, we have 17 concurrent viewers. Oh, 18. Not too bad. I missed the days when we had 45, but that's all right. Or 77 when I used to do the Revelation class. But that class took a lot of work, a lot of prep time. We even had a couple bishops over here in the Philippines show up for the Revelation class. By the way, we have started our, for over the years, people have been bugging me about Greek. So we have some Greek lessons over on Patreon. I have I think 7 lessons in the Septuagint, kind of introducing you to my Greek immersion methodology, where we go through Genesis chapter 1 and maybe the first little part of chapter 2. And now we are in the book of Revelation in the Jewish Greek. And there's 3 lessons out there on that now. I may make another one before Shabbat comes. So if you're interested in Jewish Greek and you've been doing Hebrew for a while, check it out. Check out that stuff and give me some feedback. We're kind of crafting the class as we go. It is an immersion style, and I'm reusing symbols when I can, right? So like just like we have orange here for the prepositions, I use orange for Greek prepositions as well. And just like we sometimes have the blue box for construct, I use the blue box over there for the genitive, which is like construct. And then for the dative, I have like a picture of dates, right? Little things to remind you. So anyway, if you're interested in the Greek, please check that out because these classes oftentimes I try something new and it's basically a pilot to see were people truly interested like they were saying they were over the years or were they not? And no pressure. Hebrew is by far more important. So if you feel you just want to stick with Hebrew right now, that is a good decision as well. It's not for everybody to jump right into Greek. And it's actually really good to have a solid foundation of Hebrew first so that you won't be led astray by some of the Greek only camp where they don't even consider the underlying Hebrew. So, all right, let's continue. Verse 4. I know we're going through kind of quickly today, but I want to make a big beachhead into chapter 31. Remember, you can always slow it down if you like. You can click the little spiel, the little gear thing on YouTube, and I've done it on Patreon as well. You can click the gearbox and slow down the playback speed. So let's finish verse 4. Maybe that'll be it for today. Let's see. Verse 4. לחשוב מחשבות, לעשות בזהב ובכסף ובנחושת. All right. לחשוב. The root is chait, sheen, bait. Now, the Hebrew verb chashav, the kind of basic meaning is to calculate. To calculate or to reckon, right? To reckon. A chashava or a machshevet appears, depends on what era you're in, means a computer in modern Hebrew dialect. A chashava or machshevet. So it's a computer, right? Because it's like calculating. Chashav also can have the idea of to think, right? So, or to consider. So, lachshov, to think up, I think, machashavot. Look at this, machashavot. The same root. Plans. Lachshov machashavot, to think up plans. La'asot. This is, of course, the verb ein sin hey. Many of you know the hey went away. Infinitive form. To make. So lachshov machashavot, to think up plans. La'asot, to make. Ba zahav. So that is, of course, bait, meaning with. Oz, well, that's the definite article. Ha, he left his footprint. Ha means the. So be is with or in. Oz, the zahav, in the gold. To make with the gold. U, and v, with or in. Ak, the kesef, silver. U, and v, with or in. An, the nechoshet, copper. So he's very skilled indeed, especially in those days, being able to work with all of those types of metals. You should know that nechoshet can also be bronze, depending on context. I believe it to be copper here, particularly because I think it was Doug Berry who taught me that copper is much more difficult to work with because the higher temperature needed to melt it. So it seems more interesting that he's able to work with something that is so hard to work with. And shout out to Frank in Philippines. I remember when you lived in Thailand, Frank likes to get his hands on everything. I remember he was making his own copper bus bars for at-home solar battery system. We were both into building solar batteries back then. He made his own bus bars. He melted down the copper and shaped them how he wanted them, and just amazing. All right. Any comments or questions? Let me see. How are we on time? Yeah, maybe we'll do one more. Let's do verse 5. I also have 6 prepared, but 6 is pretty long. I think we'll stop with 5. Verse 5. ובחרושת אבן למלות ובחרושת עץ לעשות בכל מלאכה. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. And the with charoshet. Charoshet. Now, what in the world does this mean? Well, the root, chet resh shin, charash, it means to plow. To plow, like to plow the earth. Charash. Like you have your ox, and he's going to help you, and you're going to charash. You're going to plow the earth. So, charoshet needs to be something kind of related to that. And let's look in context to see if we can figure out what it means. So, it's a construct. I accidentally drew the construct box around the bait. My bad. Let me fix that. I'll kind of fix it. Now leave it. Uva charoshet. So uva de charoshet evan. What is evan? We just had a vocabulary word about this, an enhanced 60-second vocabulary word over on Patreon, available at all levels. Evan, and in that I use the memory verse Proverbs 11:1 as an example, and then we've also got a song out there that helps you to memorize. Proverbs 11:1. If you want to check that out over on Patreon as well. It's called, well, originally Evan Shalema, but I think I put it in English, a perfect stone. And in that song, you'll learn all the words from the psalm, including Evan. I mean, from the psalm and from the mashal, the proverb. Evan. Evan means stone. Yeah, I think, yeah, Gary. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yep. Gary says skills gained while slaves of Egyptian craftsmen. Yeah, I think so. Betty Tipping says bronze is 90% copper and 10% tin. Ah, maybe the tin is what makes it easier to work with, right? Tin is so soft. So, and with, and exactly, Gary nailed it, carving of stone, right? So he's skilled at carving stone also. He can work with all those metals and he can carve stone or chisel stone, perhaps, right? Brenda has an Evan. Oh, yeah, that's right. Baruch Hashem. Le malot. Now, I believe this to be a play on words. So, le malot here, we just had millet to fill up, right? But it turns out that this word means fittings. Fittings, as in when you have, how do I describe it? When you have, say, you cut out a stone, a shape in the stone, and you can put a gemstone in that shape, right? That's a fitting, right? Or you can also do it with metal, the fitting, right? And for example, there's even fittings on the ephod, right, that hold the stones and such, right, on the choshen of the Kohen Hagadol, right? So it's a play on words with the previous milay that we just had. Betzalel has been milayed with Ruach Elohim, with the Ruach HaKodesh, and here he's able to carve stone for fittings. That means he's so precise at it, he can carve it so your gemstone can fit right in there. Inlay. Thank you, Gary. That's nice. Yeah, that sounds like a better translation than mine. Always count on you guys to help out giving the better translations. I give you the caveman crew translation, and you guys clean it up. Lemalot for fittings, for inlays. Uva and with, so this is what he's still skilled with, right? He still has the chokhmah for all this stuff. He's still skilled with the charoshet eitz. So here's carving, like Gary mentioned before, carving of eitz, of wood. The word for tree and wood is the same word in Hebrew. La'asot, to make. Bechol melacha, in all or every kind of project. In all projects. Any project you could dream of back then. Betzalel was blessed and could do it. Yeah, I think that's too big. Okay. We won't push it. We won't push it. Okay. You guys have any comments or questions before I let you go? Hey, welcome, Sandy. Nice to have you here. So tomorrow we will be continuing our directed Hebrew immersion. Maybe we'll do it live, no promises. This live worked out pretty well today, Baruch Hashem. Over on Patreon. If you're not a patron of mine, please consider joining us over on Patreon. Even if you just join for free, that still helps over there. Because it's nice also for people on Patreon to discover projects and stuff they want to support. This is how I make a living, so I really appreciate you guys contributing to help the work continue to go. Thanks, Harrison. Harrison liked it. Tomorrow we will continue our work in the book of First Kings. We'll be here on YouTube and also over on Patreon. These are free lessons. All right, so I look forward to seeing you guys. Please pray for this ministry and pray for Israel. As always, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Remember, don't stop praying. There's still stuff happening in Gaza, right? Or in Gaza, as it's called in biblical Hebrew. We need to win, and we need to win soon and bring the hostages home. Don't forget them just because we crushed Iran. Bezrat Hashem. All right, guys, I'll catch you later. Shalom, shalom.